Welcome to Spiritual Insurgency and happy Independence Day. Today is 4th of July. I'm joined today with Aaron Lujan.
Happy 4th.
And just a guy, Jim Miller.
Freedom, 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 oi.
Did you know that John Adams believed that July 2nd was the correct day to celebrate American independence? And that he would turn down invitations to appear at 4th of July celebrations and protest? But Adams and Thomas Jefferson both died on July 4th, 1826, the 50th anniversary of the adoption of the Declaration of Independence. Little unknown fact there.
Snapple cabinet.
John Adams, the ultimate contrarian.
So on July 2nd, the Continental Congress voted in favor of Lee's resolution for independence in a near unanimous vote. The New York delegation abstained, but later voted affirmatively. On that day, John Adams wrote to his wife Abigail that July 2nd will be celebrated by succeeding generations as the great anniversary festival, and that the celebration should include pomp and parade, games, sports, guns, bells, bonfires, and illuminations from one end of this continent to the other.
We need more Abigails and less Britneys. America was a better place when we were married to Abigails.
More Betsy's, less
More
Ross.
Betsy's, less woohoo.
But on July 4th, the Continental Congress formally adopted the Declaration of Independence, which had been written largely by Jefferson, though the vote for the actual independence took place on July 2nd, and from then on, the 4th became the day that was celebrated as the birth of American independence.
Let freedom ring.
America.
America.
So, we have a lot to celebrate this 4th of July because I think that independence has been restored a little bit more. But then at the same point, we've seen independence greatly taken away in so many facets of life. I mean, what do we see in this next year? What do you think we see from now until July 4th, 2026? Does American independence become greater or lesser? Aaron, what you got?
Lesser.
Why?
Because tyrants are on the march. We've been having shows recently about the technocracy. I think that the future of society is going to be a technologically driven tyranny where the power brokers today have quantum computing, AI. The days of bullet powder and boots are over. There's quiet wars being waged, and they're going to get their end goals achieved through manipulation and deception. It's much easier to take over a nation through an information war and through manipulation than it would be to, force a military. I think it was a Japanese general who said America would never be invaded from an outside force. There would be a gun behind every blade of grass, I think was what this Japanese general said. And that's true. So it's the reason why the founders said that warned us against enemies, both foreign and domestic. That was intentional. That was not accidental, nor was it minor. Because I think they foresaw a future where America would be so strong that there would never be an external force that could take it down. It would have to be from the inside. We would need a Benedict Arnold in the nation to be able to overthrow the great United States. I mean,
Don't mention that turd's name on the 4th of July.
you still upset with Benedict?
Yep. I'll fight all his ancestors, whoever's left, whatever descendants he's got, I'll fight them now.
If you're related to Benedict Arnold,
Challenge you to a duel, any
Pull up.
Benedict Arnold's
up.
relatives that exist nowadays, feel free.
Jim Miller versus the Arnolds. We'll do it around Powers.
Yo, do it
We should do it at the rodeo. The rodeo's coming.
right at the rodeo. Fireworks going off. Freedom.
Miller, Arnold, 7 p.m. Mountain.
This dude's like, I didn't even know him.
But we're, so we look at everything through biblical worldview. So I think it's important, unless, Jason, you wanted to go in a different direction, kind of the liberty is based on biblical values. You talk about Galatians 5:1, it is for freedom that Christ has set us free. America's founding was rooted in Christian principles, not secular humanism, because if you look at the founding fathers, 94% of them were believers. The first prayer of Congress in 1774 was led by Reverend Jacob Duché, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, in Christ Church, Philadelphia. So it's just another reminder, because we hear it so often. The founders were atheists and slave owners. Meh. No, the reality is that this was a time when these men were primarily fighting for the ability to worship God in their own conscience. This is the reason why people risk their lives to come on the Mayflower and actually, take the chance and roll the dice on this new world, because they were motivated primarily by an urge and a desire for religion, freedom of religion, for freedom of speech, which is in their context, I think, a freedom of religion.
Well, the history.com is giving us plenty of information today. 55 years ago, Nixon's 4th of July bash ended with tear gas and nude protesters over the pro-Vietnam War rally. I mean, we have lots of history. I think that 4th of July is a time for us to reflect on where we are as a country in large parts. We saw, and we reported on yesterday, that many places across California are canceling their 4th of July parties because of the fear of immigration raids during those rallies, especially in heavily immigration oriented communities and illegal immigrant communities. And so,
aliens.
Yep, illegal alien communities. So we're seeing that 4th of July may end in very similar fashion to Nixon's 4th of July back in 1970. I mean, we could see a lot of protests break out. We already saw one No Kings rally. We're anticipating seeing a second No King rally from the left, fully supported. But, it's 4th of July. I think that there's going to be plenty of people out there protesting on 4th of July, whereas very many on the right are going to be celebrating a lot of the accomplishments of the Trump administration, the peace going on around the world, and America First policies.
Are you guys seeing the conspiracy theories on the internets about a planned geopolitical event on 4th of July? Have you guys heard of any of that?
Got something pulled up?
Not exactly. I was trying to pull it up as we were talking. I'm kind of going off of memory, but what I saw come across the intergrams, is that what they're called? The kids calling it these days, the intergrams?
I don't know. It's the interweb, man. Whatever's on.
I don't know. I thought it was a cocaine delivery service when I first heard about Instagram. Get your gram in an Insta. These people are saying that there's a heavy presence of law enforcement in Washington, D.C. They're protecting federal buildings. All the major federal buildings are being protected. Jason, if you could pull up something, that'd be awesome. But you have to look at the mindset of the enemy. They're always looking for a day when people's attention are on something else other than, that every day in the news cycle, this is a day where people are off work. They have a captive audience of people that are not minding their daily responsibilities. It's obviously a symbolic day. It's the day that celebrates America's birthday and freedom.
Yeah, here's Time Magazine reporting Free America anti-Trump administration protests planned across U.S. on July 4th. This July 4th, some Americans are planning to retire their Independence Day barbecues and instead head to the streets and protest against President Donald Trump and his administration. The collective demonstrations will be the latest in a long line of protests that have taken place since Trump returned to the White House for a second term. On June 14th, as Trump held a national military parade in Washington, D.C., the largest the capital city has seen in decades, people across the U.S. gathered for counteraction, attending No Kings protests to publicly reject authoritarianism. Ahead of the big day, Trump had warned that people that want to protest will be met with big force, saying participants are people that hate our country. Amid the No King activism, states across the U.S. also encountered immigration protests as people demonstrated against the Trump administration ICE raids. The protests notably started in Los Angeles and garnered national and international attention, especially after Trump deployed the National Guard. So we could see quite a bit of protests. Also, Women's March organizes Free America Weekend. Women's March, which coordinates protests across the U.S. against sexism and oppression, has published a list of over 140 events set to take place on July 4th.
Sounds like those women hate bikinis on the 4th of July.
So we could see some July 4th protests from the women rallies and the women marches to the No Kings 2.0.
What a stupid name, No Kings. There's no kings. What are you marching about? But these are the same people that call each other king. Hey, stay safe, king. Shut up. Good God. What a bunch of idiots, dude. What a bunch of people trying to validate a subpar existence. If they spent this much time learning a skill or another language, they'd be quite viable and out in just the world or for themselves. Lack of dignity, I always say.
Well, the main theory that's emerging this weekend is a bioweapon or a pandemic 2.0 rollout. The theory is that there's going to be a new outbreak, call it bird flu, smallpox, Marburg, could be announced around July 4th to reimpose lockdowns and mandates and to introduce digital health passports.
I think we may be past that point. I mean, if there's a new pandemic on the rise, it ain't going to happen before the 4th of July. Maybe they're going to try to spread a pandemic throughout the 4th of July celebrations.
They're all passing them in the buns. They're like Pride Month's over. You had to order your wieners with the buns. Put the disease in the buns. Your food budget's up for 4th of July celebrations. And they're like, oh no, it's in the buns. And they're like, oh, what the heck?
Hot buns.
Hot cross buns. Pride Month was last month. This is Freedom Month.
Excuse me, Steve. Are those buns hot?
I think there'll be more freedom. I really do think there's more freedom. If you want to protest, go protest. That seems like a big waste of time to me. Don't riot. Don't be an idiot. But I think there'll be more freedom because I do think on the other end of these ones doing these nonsensical, unrealistic, non-cause trying to validate stupid crap that has nothing and doesn't even exist most of the time. Most of us like our freedom, and we'll enforce our freedom if we have to. Don't hinder us. We don't like to be bothered too much. And if I want to barbecue a bunch of wieners with or without buns, that's my business. Leave me alone. Let me have some fireworks and some fun with the family and enjoy it myself.
I mean, I think what we've learned from the last couple years is that anything is possible on any given day. I mean, we didn't report on the Coeur d'Alene shooting, but that took the news cycle, and at the same time as the one big beautiful bill when it was rolling through the Senate. I mean, the guy starts a fire and starts sniping off firefighters that go to respond to it. I mean, this is just a couple days ago. I mean, nothing surprises me anymore about what the world is heading towards.
Get your craziness bingo cards out and see which thing happens and transpires on it.
Exactly.
Like, oh, Godzilla is real. What the what? Well, happy 4th of July.
There is a New World Order board game that never got any commercial traction, but I think it's still available on Amazon, and they do have bioweapon card. It would be interesting if Jason could pull that up. They have political assassination card.
What the heck?
Yeah, it's called the no.
It's got all the craziness on it. It's all pandemic.
The Illuminati New World Order.
Yes,
The game.
the game. The game.
Not to be mixed up with the movie or conspiracy. It's
Maybe they
the
could
game.
be a sponsor of Spiritual Insurgency.
I mean, here's a game from 94 to 95. It came out, card game. It's going for $240 because there's not a whole lot left. Here's one going for $750. Not currently available, but that's what we have.
This new what was it called again?
The
The Illuminati New World Order game.
We mentioned it, so now it's going to cost more. They're going to start seeing them for like $2,000 and stuff now, being sold out everywhere. No, I wouldn't be surprised if any weird, obscure, strange, whatever weirdness transpiring. But I hope there's not. I hope it's just a fun freaking firework, having time with the family day, enjoying that a bunch of people sacrifice stuff so we have some freedom nowadays to do it. And a lot of people, and historically speaking, in this country, did some bad, but did more good to make it to where we can even sit down and have a damn barbecue, for crying out loud, and sit there with your kids and actually light off some fireworks and maybe get in an argument with a firefighter or even a police officer because you have the freedom to going, it's my firework on my property. Go away. I ain't paying you, stupid ticket. And they give you a litter ticket when you throw it on the ground. But, let your freedom flag, reign. Stretch your legs of freedom. Light some fireworks. Have some fun. Be cool. Be safe. Have a good time with it, I think. But I think there'll be more freedom coming forward because a lot of people are tired of being told what to do. And I think more people will defend themselves for their own freedom and sovereignty and liberties.
No, I agree. I agree with Jim that the people have become more emboldened and they're not going to take it anymore. I'm just arguing that the powers that be are going to try to push their agenda harder. They're not backing down. They're doubling down is what I think.
But with that machine stuff, all I got to do is unplug it.
Yeah, we're headed at a trajectory of clash
as we're using it.
We're on a trajectory for a clash of civilizations. There's people that have lived through COVID. They were tired of it. They're never going to do it again. And the system has not backed down on their plans.
The great era of COVID, stepping over all the dead bodies to get into Walmart to get your toilet paper. Yeah, what an era.
Well, this is Spiritual Insurgency. Don't want to take up too much of your day today. Have a great 4th of July. God bless.
Happy 4th.
You want it better, be better.